Bratton is with us, was police commissioner in New York City, then in Boston, and chief of police in Los Angeles as well. Bill, it's great to see you again, as we have over many years in difficult circumstances. Tonight, in your estimation, as one with worlds of experience, could this incident and this verdict have the power to change policing in America?
I believe it has and will. I've been watching the comments from many of my former colleagues, chiefs of police around America, on their social media sites. So I disagree with your previous guest in the sense that he doesn't believe this is going to be a seminal moment in American policing. It is, because you now have American police leadership, as reflected in those comments that they've been making over the last year since the murder of Mr. Floyd, that American policing, I've been involved with it for almost 50 years. Where it is today is certainly not where it was in 1970. In my forthcoming book, The Profession, will be out in June, I reflect on those 50 years, that arc of history, if you will. And the good news is that we have come a long way. Bad news is we still have a long way to go. But the death of Mr. Floyd will accelerate and make much more comprehensive that process of change. And you see it already in the sense of the President of the United States, the Vice President tonight, speaking out in defense, if you will, not in defense of, but in support of the legislation that they have filed. We'll now see if the Congress of the United States, particularly the Senate, steps up to embrace that police reform that is being proposed by the President and that is supported by most American police chiefs in their organizations, Major City Chiefs, IACP, Noble, National Sheriff's Organizations. No, this is an important time in the history of our country. It's an important time in the profession that I'm proud to be part of for the last 50 years and still stay very much associated with.
You know, I'm guessing many beat cops in Los Angeles and Boston and New York, all of whom at one point served under you, are looking around, and they know. They know who the ones are among their ranks. And I'm not saying it's one bad apple. I'm not saying that at all. But they know who the ones are around them who don't have the kind of respect for life that police officers have, who don't understand at the core of their being that theirs is to protect and serve, that it is noble and honorable and to be respected. And is there a chance in your mind that those who are just what I described might help leadership weed out those who are not?
Well, I think so. I definitely think so. I've had the privilege of leading in Boston, LAPD, twice in the city of New York. The countless thousands who want to do the right thing, who every day do the right thing. And the ability to weed out those who do not, the ability to keep them out in the first place, or when, despite some of the archaic arbitration laws we have to deal with, we get rid of them from one department and they migrate to another department. Those things are changing. One of the concerns I have, however, at the moment, the difficulty of recruiting qualified, capable candidates for the complexities of policing the 21st century. We're already having great difficulty in many departments around the country. There's even calls to diminish qualifications. We should be not defunding police, but effectively funding police sufficiently to recruit the best and the brightest, pay them well, train them well. If there's one great deficiency in American policing today, it is training. There's not enough of it at the beginning of the career. There is definitely not enough of it during the course of their career. And police, where they have the power to take your life, like a doctor, we require doctors to keep abreast of their profession and the changes in their profession throughout their career. We don't have the same standards for police who, like medicine, have the capability and power to take your life at any particular point in time. We need to change that.
Shepard Smith here. Thanks for watching CNBC on YouTube.